Hello, this is Cody the Coin Raptor. Welcome to my channel. I'm here to provide you the best crypto content that you can find. And we're going to start with our chart TA with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been moving sideways for the most part today. It has actually moved up a little bit today, and it immediately, when it came to this point, about 25,000 or so, came crashing back down again. I've made a couple of posts on Twitter about how overbought both Bitcoin and Ethereum have become, and I've waited for a good opportunity to put my money in the market and to buy the dip. And I actually did wind up buying the dip right here in this candle at about 23,800 or so for Bitcoin. So this right here, this is a really strong wick to the downside, and I think that it's probably going to wind up signaling that we're going to have more of a dip coming, and then it's also going to most likely resume the uptrend. That's what I'm thinking right now. As far as I know, as far as I can see for the Bitcoin charts, I expect that it's going to stay within this uptrend, this rising wedge right here, and any opportunity, in my opinion, and this is not financial advice, to get a nice dip buy at the low end of this range is an opportunity I'm going to take. Now, that's what I expect for Bitcoin. Bitcoin has gone up to about 25,000 and pulled back. There is extremely strong resistance right here at 25,369. That was the previous support level back in the 12th of May. So this level is going to be very difficult for it to overcome. And it just so happens that this is just at about the upper end of this rising wedge. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to have very strong volume come in here, strong green volume to push it above this level, this 25,300. Now, if we take a look at the weekly 200-week moving average, which is something I like to look at a lot, we have support here at about 23,000. So if it dips down to below a level, I would expect that 23,000 is going to be very strong support going forward. And the last couple of weeks, it tends to gravitate around that price if it gets anywhere close to it, and then use it as support. Next, for Ethereum. Ethereum has hit a bit of a snag, right? I've recently talked about in my last couple of videos about how overbought an ETH has become, because quite frankly, it's been kind of ridiculous. You take a look at the RSI on the daily. The RSI on the daily was 76. That is incredibly high. It came up, it touched 2,000, it traded sideways for a bit, and then it fell off quite a bit here because all the buyers got completely exhausted. Now we're seeing more sustainable price action. RSI is 43, and with ETH, I expect that it's also going to wind up coming down here, maybe trading a little bit lower in this range here at about 1870 or so, and then it's going to continue the uptrend, just like with Bitcoin. Now, what's important to remember about ETH here is that when the RSI peaks over 70, expect a pullback, and I'll be watching this, and I'll be giving you the latest and greatest information I can and on Twitter. So if you want to hear that information, if you want to see me post that, follow me on Twitter. And I was also able to go in and do a quick dip buy on Ethereum at about 1887 or so, and this candle right here very recently. So I'm looking to DCA long-term hold for me for Ethereum and for Bitcoin. One other thing I wanted to point out here is Bitcoin dominance. Okay, Bitcoin dominance. I've been watching Bitcoin dominance very closely, and quite frankly, Bitcoin dominance has fallen off a cliff. We can take a look at this. We can see that the last couple of days have been positive. However, Bitcoin dominance as a whole has been down massively. And we can see when you look at the Ethereum dominance, why that is. We go to Ethereum dominance, and we can see Ethereum dominance is uptrending very strongly from the lows in about the 20th or so of June. Now, one thing I've put out here in this, there's this little box that I've put here, and this box is basically like a resistance. It's kind of like a resistance area that Ethereum dominance tends to have difficulty pushing out into. Now, previously, this was at about November 2021. Ethereum dominance was at about 22%, and it just could not push any higher than that. We rarely ever see Ethereum dominance push above this zone of resistance here, and this goes from about 20% to about 22% or so. So when it comes to Ethereum is going to have a really hard time pushing through this box here, and you guys should definitely be paying attention to the Ethereum dominance. I will be watching it very closely to see if Ethereum can push any further into this dominance, into this resistance box, and then exceed it. But so far in Ethereum's entire history, and that's going back to about, this goes back to the 2017, Ethereum has had a really hard time maintaining this level of dominance. So what that could mean in the short term is that we do see a pullback, and I do expect a larger pullback as soon as the merge happens. And a return to probably about the mean here, the mid-range, which is, I'd say, anywhere from 10 to 15% or so ETH dominance. Okay, now let's go ahead and talk about our main story, and that is crypto lender Celsius is on pace to run out of cash by October. All right, so the firm recently filed bankruptcy protection in July, and they've revealed some interesting information through court filings. Okay, and the what we learn about these court filings is they hold $2.8 billion less in crypto than it owes to its depositors. So previously we thought that this amount that Celsius held was around in the $1 billion region. They say that it was a 1.2, but it turns out, based on these filings, that they actually have a huge $2.8 billion hole in their balance sheet, and they just don't have the money to pay their debtors. So that is crushing for people who have money in Celsius and have been unable to withdraw it, because Celsius, this guy right here, Alex Mashinsky, is trying to make sure that they're going through a restructuring process. They'll be able to continue the work of the company, and they'll hopefully be able to honor withdrawals at some point in the distant future. But if the hole in their balance sheet is this large and larger than people think, then it's going to be even more difficult for a company like this to remain solvent and continue operations in the future. And that's crushing to people who have their money in Celsius. And based on the amount of cash they have on hand right now, the company will run out of money by the end of October, because they don't have very much cash on hand. They have about $130 million in cash right now, and they expect that with the expenditures, monthly expenditures, it's going to be about 30 to 40 million or so. So they're going to run out of money very quickly. And again, this is really bad news for people who have money in Celsius. I'll be following this story, and we'll give you the most up-to-date news as I see it. Next, very important, bears and bulls may get surprised as Stablecoin Supply surges past 150 billion. Now, the title of this article is a little funny, because it's surging past 150 billion. This is like the total market cap of all the stable coins. But I've done some research, and I've looked at the stablecoin market cap, and it peaked at about March 2022 or so here, and that's at about 164, and this is in billions, so 164 billion, this market cap, and it's actually decreased markedly since then. And this only goes to June, but I think the trend line will continue. And if we go back to the story, it surges past 150 billion. However, before that, the height was actually 164 billion. So what that's telling me is investors are taking their money out of stable coins, and they're using it to buy assets like Ethereum. And what'll happen is, during these bear markets, they'll load up in stable coins in order to protect their assets, and then as soon as they think a bottom is coming, they will start to buy those assets. So again, it went from 164 billion at a peak, and now it's at 150 billion or so. And I expect that this trend will continue, and investors will keep buying the assets that they love. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. If you like this content, please let me know. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. I would greatly appreciate that. This is Cody the Coin Raptor, signing out.